Luther Systems is building products to streamline enterprise business processes leveraging blockchain technology. Property rent reviews are a ubiquitous part of real estate portfolio operations. Specifically, index-based rent review processes involve an almost standard set of operational steps, and yet they remain largely manual to this day. So what's the solution? Luther's smart contracts provide a seamless, reliable, automated execution of the end-to-end rent review process. These smart contracts are backed by blockchain technology and provide considerable cost savings and a vastly repeatable and expandable infrastructure for similar processes. In this demo, we demonstrate how a user enters the details of a lease contract agreement once. The smart contract then automatically generates the entire schedule of events and executes the entire contract. Beyond submission of the contract attributes, the entire execution process is fully automated and executed by the underlying smart contract, with no manual intervention. The current product is designed for the specific case of index-based rent reviews with periodic rent review determined by a number of years. The rent amount increase is based on caps and collars on the percentage of annual index value change, compounded over the rent review period. The rent review life cycle involves two major stages. The first stage is the setup of the contract, and the second stage is the set of repetitive execution steps. This view demonstrates all executed contracts along with their high-level details, including contract ID, participant, most recent and next rent review dates, and current rent amount. These contracts can be sorted and filtered, demonstrating contracts of a certain type or date or amount. This provides easy and fast access and visibility into various segments of the portfolio. Now let's create a new contract. Here we can see all the entries in the side letter, which are already pre-populated. All of these entries are adjustable. Let's, for example, change the term of the contract to 15 years, and the frequency of review to 3 years, the collar rate to 2%, the cap to 5%, and the initial annual rent amount to £1.5 million. Also, we can change the index based on which index is used to adjust the rent. In this demo, we will use the Retail Price Index. There are two other tabs in this view which show a generic side letter and rent review memo. This is the full text of the side letter with the attributes filled in. Once we click Submit New Contract, this completed side letter will be sent to relevant participants for signature. We will review this side letter in far more detail shortly. Now we're ready to submit the contract. Let's click Create New Contract. Now we can see the details of the new contract in the portal, including the 15-year term, review frequency of 3 years, and the initial rent of £1.5 million. Let's now go inside the contract and explore its details. In this view, we can see all the variables associated with the side letter, which is displayed in the next tab. Here we can see the full side letter with the attributes completed. This side letter reflects all the selections we made for creating the new contract. We will review the side letter in more detail once all participants have signed it. Here we can see the full schedule of events for the entire rent review process. The first step is the generation of the side letter, followed by sending the side letter to the relevant participants for signatures. This is done via DocuSign to capture digital signatures. The payment has already been triggered. The product is designed so a direct connection from the tenant's bank to Aviva Investors' bank account can be set up and automated via APIs we have already designed. The exact and immutable timestamps for each event is readily displayed next to each event. As you can see, the rest of the events along with their exact timelines and deadlines are displayed in pending events for the next 15 years. We can see in the timeline that the side letter has been sent to the participants for signature. The smart contract has sent the side letter along with instructions to DocuSign for signature collection. First, DocuSign sends an email alert to the landlord, here represented by Mike, for signature. The landlord logs into DocuSign, they review the document, and make sure it is correct. Here we can see the contract period of 15 years, the rate cap of 5%, collar of 2%, as well as the retail price index. We can also see the initial rent of £1.5 million, and finally the rent review frequency of 3 years. The landlord then signs the appropriate spot on the document clearly marked for them, and finally they click Finish to submit their electronic signature. Subsequently, an email alert is sent to the tenant, here represented by Hussein, who follows the same set of steps to review and complete their electronic signature. And finally, the document is sent to the surety, here represented by Sam, for them to complete and electronically sign. Now that the signatures are complete, you can see in the events page that the signatures have been collected. And finally, the data is sent to Yardi for storage. Let's look at the side letter view where the completed side letter along with the signatures are displayed and stored for the entire rest of the contract lifespan. The next event is scheduled for the 25th of December. Let's use our time machine to travel to December 25th, where a quarterly scheduled payment request is triggered and confirmed. And this process repeats each quarter automatically. Also, each year on the anniversary of the lease contract calculation date, the smart contract automatically collects the index value from the ONS website through an API and stores it. Now again, let's use our time machine to travel to first rent review date, which is 3 years down the line. On this date, the index is collected from the ONS website. The new rent calculation is done based on the previous 4 index values, and the rent review memo is completed. The rent review memo is sent to the relevant participants for signature via DocuSign. This is the same process that we used for collecting signatures for the side letter document. The smart contract sends the rent review memo to the landlord, tenant, and surety for signature. First, DocuSign sends an email alert to the landlord for signature. The landlord logs in, reviews the rent review memo and makes sure it is correct. Then they sign the appropriate spot on the document clearly marked for them. And finally, they click Finish to submit their electronic signature. The tenant and the surety follow a similar process, as before, to electronically sign the rent review memo. Here we can see the rent review memo signed by all participants. Again, we can see in the events page that the signatures have been collected, and the data is sent to Yardi for storage. Now in the calculation view, we can click on the completed link to review the calculation for the first rent review period. We can see the exact details of the assumptions used in the calculations, as well as the exact index values collected in a verifiable manner from the ONS website. Further, we can demonstrate the steps in limiting each annual index change by the cap and collar imposed by the contract. And finally, the calculation of the new rent amount. And this process continues automatically for the entire 15 years until the completion of the contract. In this demo, we show how the Luther Platform Smart Contract enables end-to-end execution of index-based rent reviews. The Luther platform clearly demonstrates the benefits and advantages of automated execution of these lease contracts on the blockchain. including lower cost and higher reliability of the product, bottom line, driving efficiency, and reducing operational costs. Ultimately, the goal is to leverage technology, specifically smart contracts, to streamline and automate the majority of real estate operations, which results in a lower cost base and higher value for the clients. For a complete and detailed analysis of the benefits of blockchains for the lease contract processing and related processes, please visit the Luther Systems website. Thank you.